Well, and sometimes it can be really scary to say, I want to double my business this year and to say it out loud. And you know what? It's okay. You don't have to double your business this year. If you're more comfortable and more likely to take it seriously by saying, I want to grow by 20%, then say, I want to grow by 20%. But be prepared for what it's going to look like if you double your business.
Hey guys, good morning. Becky is a recovering engineer who has systems for her systems. She helps service-based business owners in the $500K to $5 million annual revenue range. You know what's weird, Anna? I think I'm reading the wrong thing, right? Like, happy good morning.
I think that you are too. What we were trying to say is, does your business have a plan to navigate challenges?
Yes,
because our guest today, Becky Daniels, the owner of Daniels Business Solutions, is going to share how you can create success by preparing a business roadmap that navigates the challenges encountered by small business owners and entrepreneurs.
Oh, good gracious.
Tuesday.
Happy summer. Look, my coffee cup today is from the Old Mill in Pigeon Forge, and I swear there is no whiskey in this coffee mug. If you were here last week, I was in Tennessee, and that's where I did our last show. And I'm back home until next week, where I fly off to Hawaii and do things there. But
it's been a little bit of a crazy summer already.
Yeah.
But we're so excited for today's show and what Becky is coming on to talk about. She's going to be an amazing guest and bring so much wisdom and a great little boost for maybe those summer doldrums, right? Like it's hot in Texas right now. Like hot. Yeah. Like you don't even want to walk outside your front door kind of hot.
Yeah.
You know?
No.
And so
no, I just did to grab something from a neighbor, and I was like, "Okay, goodbye. It is too hot this early morning at 9:30. Exactly. Look, and hey, I'm just putting a disclaimer. Anna is not in our script notes, but Anna is also. She's got the COVID. She's got the Rona bug, and so if at any time during our show she like drifts off, and you're like, "What is going on with Anna?" Now you know.
Well, we'll say I'm on the far side of that COVID bug.
Shh. Don't tempt fate
knock
like
on
that.
some wood there, right? Yeah. Knocking on wood.
Yeah.
But it has been a long week and it's only Tuesday. Let's just put it that way.
No, for sure. So we're excited to be here for our second episode of season 9 with Becky. We decided to implement something new with a past guest. Is Pumihana Palmer has a mindset minute. So we're going to kind of bring that up here. Let me grab that. And we're going to just kind of listen in to see what she has to say.
Aloha, friends. Pumihana Palmer here, your resident mindset and growth coach, here with your Mindset Minute. So as an entrepreneur, your time and attention are 2 of the most valuable assets in your bank. And being intentional about where you direct both of those and also operating in your zone of genius is how you make the most impact on your business and also move your company forward exponentially. As a small business owner, it's very easy for us to wear all the hats and do all the things. But when our energy, our precious time and attention is fragmented, then that leaves little to no energy left for us to create the magic, which is why we started these businesses in the first place. So today, for your Mindset Minute, I encourage you and I challenge you to do something called an energy audit. It's a very, very simple exercise. Simply take a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle. On one side, write energizes me, and on the other side, write drains me. And as you go through your work day, your work week, start to take note of the activities, thoughts, people that drain you and also energize you. And after you finish your list, then sit with it for a little bit, reflect on these things and see how you can do more of what energizes you and where you can delegate that which drains you. Having that time and getting that time back and attention back, again, that is what's going to move your company forward. That is what is going to bring the magic exponentially. I'm Pumehana Palmer with your Mindset Minute. I'll see you next time.
I love her. I love her. Know. I literally wrote, I did it. And you know what? I'm going to tell you what energizes me. It's this show. I'm not even joking. This is a total passion project. It doesn't, it's not like, okay, it's like, we don't make money doing it. We just do it because we love it. But it's something that does energize me. Anyway, that's what. Thanks, Pume.
Yeah. So if you happen to follow Pumehana's advice and do your what drains you and what energizes you, we'd love to see it on social media today. So tag us at 15ish MCC so that we can see it. Okay. We'd love to.
Totally. Okay. I'm going to bring up Becky's bio, and Anna is going to.
Yeah.
Anna's going to read it because I can't follow directions very well. So. All right, here we go.
All right. So Becky is a recovering engineer who has systems for her system. So she's helped service-based business owners from 500 to 5 million annual revenue range to create a clear path to having a growing and more profitable business. Becky's firm offers everything from fractional CFO services, controller services, and bookkeeping services. So she's a numbers lady. She's smart numbers in the brain lady. Personally, she loves nothing more than to see the business owners she works with achieve their goals and find more calm in the madness of business ownership. And personally, she loves nothing more than cheering on the Tennessee Volunteers with her husband and 3 daughters. So I'm going to bring Becky on so we can go ahead and say hi.
Welcome to the
morning. Selena, you didn't tell me you were I was in Pigeon Forge last week.
I just was like, wait a minute. Right. Wait, I forgot. And you know what? When I read your stuff before, I remember saying, oh, I'm going to be in Tennessee. And I don't know why I never said that at all. So you must have laughed at me when I was like, I
was like, wait a second. I know. I was 3 blocks from the old mill.
Hey, next time, because we had a blast. We actually stayed in Gatlinburg, and then we, it's like a 5-minute ride over to Pigeon Forge. So and of course, the days that we were there, it like rained every single day.
Us too, but one of those days we were at Soaky Mountain Water Park, which is fantastic, and nobody wanted to get wet at the water park, I guess. And so it was empty. We waited in no lines.
Oh man,
that's awesome.
Our next future retreat sometime with all guests. Hey, we're gonna do it in Tennessee at Pigeon Forge, because I tell you what, I love Dolly Parton. I've loved her since I was young, and she did Islands in the Stream. It is my dream just to be in her same space and be like, hi, Dolly.
She is a true national treasure.
Yes, absolutely. Anna's like, okay, guys, let's get on. Let's do it.
We can change this to Dolly Parton all day long until we find that.
Right. All right. Okay. So, Becky, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us. We're really excited about today's conversation. I think let's get the coffee cup selfie out of the way, and then let's just dive in, because we got 4 things we're talking to Becky about. All right. I'm gonna on 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right. We're gonna magically move Becky here, and we're gonna do the things, and then we're gonna go like this, and Anna is gonna do magic. Let's dive into wait. First of all, Becky, I'm just really curious. What is one thing that energizes you from Pume's Mindset Minute-ish?
There are so many things that energize me, but doing strategy work with my highest level clients, yesterday for an hour and a half, I had a couple of guys on that we were just like, and this, and putting this structure together for the future of their business. And Like it was, I could have done it all day, and I was so exhausted at the end of the day, but in the best way. You know?
Yeah. No, I love those I love those. It's like not a draining type of thing, but it's just like a completed, like, okay, I just needed to, I was just curious what you're energizing.
I think that you see the possibilities and potential, right?
Yeah.
That I love strategy for the same reason, right? Because you see where the potential is.
Yeah.
And you see what you can create and what you are working for and why you spend all those hours doing what you do. So yes, absolutely. Okay, so Becky, you came to us, and well, when we had you decide to have you on the show, one of the things we talked about was you had outlined 4 different challenges that small business owners face. And we were going to go and just pick one and then kind of dig into it. And then I was like, no, I really, honestly, I want answers to all 4 of these. So since we have the resident expert on the show, we're going to just dive right in. So this is a little bit different because we don't really have a series of questions more than we're just going to throw up one of those challenges. And we're going to have a conversation about why it's a challenge the small business owner needs to be aware of, and what the solution is, and what they need to be thinking about as they move forward over this last half of 2022. And, look towards, because right now, in case everybody's not listening, right now is when you need to start planning for 2023. Like you're already late.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Exactly.
So be thinking about these challenges as we go. And I'm really excited to hear what Becky has to say and have this conversation. So I'm going to throw up the first challenge and let's just start.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Good.
Challenge number 1, the business relies on the owner or it falls apart.
This is something with business owners. I see it all the time. They start, it's the most natural thing in the world. They start by going, here's this skill I have and people will pay me to do it. Isn't that great? And so they're really starting as a freelancer. And then at some point, the business builds and builds and builds. And they're like, wait, I could really build a business here. But there's a difference between owning a business and owning a job. And when you're owning a job, that means you still have to, what I like to say, you still have to sing for your supper. If you're not doing the work, the actual value work that's getting paid for in the business, then the business isn't there anymore. And you can't grow a business like that, because the minute you take a vacation, the minute you get COVID and have to take a week off, there are many things that can happen. You go on maternity leave, there are a million different things that can happen, all of which will slow down the growth of your business. So I want to be really clear, it's super okay to own your job. Like there's absolutely nothing wrong with being a freelancer and this is what I'm going to do. There's nothing wrong with it. You just can't grow a scalable business that way.
Yeah.
And so the first step is always to pay yourself, whether in reality or just as a line item, for the work you're doing in your business. Because until you see what it costs to pay someone to do the work you do, you don't have any concept of what that's going to be like or what impact that's going to make on the long-term growth of your business. Once you're doing that, you have to be constantly evaluating what you are actually doing in your business. You might start with being able to spend an hour a week working on your business versus working in your business. But over time, you're able to start to identify the things that you can delegate out or hire out or whatever that looks like. And it can become less and less and less that you're working in the business and more and more that you're working on the business.
So it's not necessarily that you're trying to diversify and bring on somebody that can do the same thing that you're doing, but more like taking those pieces of your business that are not your forte, so you have more time to spend on that.
Yes, absolutely. At first, eventually though, it's important to realize that you're not the only person in the world that can do what you do. And that can be so hard for someone who has built a business on doing what it is that they feel uniquely skilled to do. I always, when I'm writing systems and processes in my business, my goal is, could I hand this to my 13-year-old and she be able to do it? And now I'm not handing it to my 13-year-old, but if I want to test it, I will, and I'll watch and see how she does. And am I being clear enough in the instructions and all of that? So,
yeah. So Kendra said, I didn't pay myself until 3 years into my business. My business is based on savings. I didn't know how rare that is.
Yeah.
It's rare, and it's not. I see it all the time. People scared to death to pay themselves, because what happens if the worst thing occurs and they don't know, they can't, pay payroll or whatever. And so I have one client who is an absolute professional. He's been in business for 12 years.
Yeah.
His monthly expenses are like $75,000 all in. Wow. And he keeps nearly $1 million in the checking account, because what if? What if? Like, no, what if is gone? Like, you have a real business. You need to have savings, but you don't need $1 million
sitting in there.
$5,000.
I'm gonna tell you right now. Yeah,
spreading that wealth. He just needs to let everybody know.
Yeah, no, that would be my husband though. Like, you know what I mean? If we ever got to that, he would be that guy, right?
Yeah.
I know Chris.
Yes. And he's saying something I say all the time.
Yeah.
I always say you need to be working from day one to make yourself obsolete in your business and completely unnecessary.
You know, it's interesting because as I am a copywriter, right? So I am one of those people that's like, you can't just hire someone and have them come in and do the service-based copywriting that I do. You really have to have somebody that is skilled and then pay them their worth as far as that goes. So this is a challenge I definitely can relate to in the sense where, how do you grow and scale a service-based business where you are the service, right? Like that, it's really hard. So I love these two suggestions you gave, which is, pay yourself, first of all, so you can see what that value is.
Yeah.
But then second, to hand off the things that are not your expertise.
Yeah.
And that's how you're going to end up being able to grow. So thank you, Becky.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I think that allows you to work on the business more versus in the business. And what a distinction the two words are, right?
Yeah, very much.
All right. What's our challenge 2?
All right. Challenge number 2 that Becky gave us. They can't grow their business without more money, but they can't get more money without growing their business. Oh, the plight of every solopreneur.
Yes. And that's, and this turns up a couple of different ways.
Yeah.
But it's almost always that there is a disconnect between what you're charging and what it costs you to produce the work. Because a lot of times, particularly if you started out as a solopreneur freelancer, then you've charged, maybe it's not an official hourly rate, but somewhere in your head, it's an hourly rate that you want for your services. But as you start to grow and you're farming that out to other people in whatever way that looks like, there are more expenses. So what you are earning, it gets to be less and less and less. Hopefully, though, the way you're growing is producing a higher quality product for the client, and it's worth more. You've been at it longer. You're better at what you do. You can command a higher price. So when that comes about, it's almost always that you're underpriced, or that your cost of service is too high, that you're paying for a bazooka to kill a gnat, and that there's just a disconnect there. And when that happens, you're really you have to start taking very tiny little incremental steps to get from point A to point B, to reshift that. And that it takes a ton of intentionality, but it can be done. And the real goal with the cost of service that I always have, it needs to, and this is for service-based businesses. Retail is a totally different thing, but for service-based businesses, your cost of service should be no more than 40% of what your business is getting paid. With that, you've got the 60% margin that covers your overhead, your growth, and your profit. And if you don't have that 60% margin, it starts to become more and more and more challenging to grow the business.
That's nice to have some firm numbers that you just gave us. You don't hear that very often.
No.
People are like, well, it just varies. But no, you're saying
it really
40,
does.
60. It doesn't vary.
It really doesn't. But people might have reasons.
Right.
And a lot of times I'll see where people have been in business a long time and they're milking the business, which is fine. You just can't milk it and grow it at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say I'm smiling now because I just got my P&L statement from my CPA yesterday, and I was like thinking about the percentage, and I was like, yes, okay, we're over that. Like, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, no, that's fantastic. I think that's a great guide to help people realize, like, this is where you need to look so you can assess and make the changes, right? That you need to. So,
I want to, before we move on, I want to pull this question up from Kendra. How do you do that while keeping your proprietary processes? And she's actually referring back to the first thing that we talked about, which is bringing on new people when you are the product, I guess.
Yeah.
So how would you address this, Becky?
That's, 100 million years ago, I worked for Little Debbie. And it was really funny. A guy in the engineering offices took me on a tour, and he took me into a space I was not supposed to go into. He didn't know I wasn't supposed to go. I didn't know. And like we get called on they're watching all the time. And but they had to protect their proprietary processes. This is what they have. And that's the value of their business. That is also the value of your business. When you go to sell it, your ability to hand a notebook, in whatever way that looks in a technological world, a notebook of processes. This is how this business is run. That's the value of your business in the long run when you're going to sell it, hopefully, in 20, 30 years, not next week. But so that is a very real concern. My suggestion is always to have a very good business attorney that is able to write non-disclosures, able to write non-competes, able to create what you need to protect those systems and processes. And then also, as much as I'm a fan of cross-training people, I don't think there is good need to over cross-train people.
Yeah,
absolutely. No one needs access to information that they don't really need. And finding good fits, like my employees are people who are really highly skilled and able to do their work, who have zero interest in the interpersonal stuff that also has to happen to grow a business and have your own clients and everything like that. And so I'm not worried about them stealing my processes. That's not what they're doing. So,
that's a great answer. Thank you. Thanks, Becky. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Great question too.
Okay. So we covered challenge number 1, relying on the owner falls apart. Challenge number 2, which is you can't grow without more money. You can't get more money without growing.
Right.
So challenge number 3, they don't have a simple way to understand what is working in their business and what is not. Ooh, I like this one.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm going to say go for it. I got nothing to say here. I am not the expert in this area.
So with my CFO level clients, what we do is once a month, we sit down and we go through where we're trying to be and where we actually were. And we figure out what are the minute little action steps that have to be taken to get from where we are to this next stop on our roadmap. And a lot of times, like I'm not in the weeds of the business. I don't know how to be a copywriter. I do know how to look at the information, the metrics, and figure out what needs to be tracked to grow a business. That's what I'm able to do. So, for example, yesterday I sat down with the guys I had the hour and a half long strategy session with, and we were talking about their Q2 numbers were really out the roof. Why? and they said they're financial planners. And they were like, well, right after the new year, everybody is so focused on getting their finances in order that we meet with everybody in that first quarter. It starts to really show up in the second quarter. I said, that makes a lot of sense. I would also ask how much of that is they're really focused and how much of it is y'all become much more focused in Q1 and on growing the business. And they were like, well, that's true. And then we drop in third quarter because we're so busy in second quarter getting those first quarter people on board. Yeah. And I was like, okay, so let's figure out what parts of your process can be streamlined, handed off, can be outsourced to a certain extent. They were talking about getting executive assistants. What can we put on that person's plate that opens you up to be able to even out your efforts and your attention over the year, so that your numbers aren't like this, but maybe you do get a bigger bump in Q2, but it doesn't have to be a huge bump and then a drop back down. So that was what we ended up building out yesterday, was really what we thought we were going to be meeting to discuss an assistant for their assistant effectively. And it ended up being, it was something very different that was really going to move the needle in their business. And, which is so fun when you're able to really drill down and figure. I can't do that on my own because I don't know what's going on day in and day out. But in that discussion and looking at these trends and looking and saying, well, this is how things tend to be. So how can we get from point A to point B? And it's all about the intentionality of regularly sitting down and looking at the same thing over and over again. When business owners want to hide from their numbers, there are a few different things they do. They'll get over detailed. So I remember there was someone I did a cleanup on a few years ago, and they had a whole account for the Amazon Prime membership. So that $99 a year had its own line item. You are fighting from your information. When you do this. So when you can roll it up and look at more of a bird's eye view and start to track those trends, that's when you can really figure out the steps that you need to take to be able to get to that next step.
Can I just say, this is why I love when a business can bring in somebody that is zoomed out to really help them. Like you said, they're so focused on that line item that says Amazon Prime. That's a yearly subscription. You know, that's what I love about what people like you do. You know what I mean?
Well, and what y'all do, you're able to be like, yeah, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Let's put information. It does matter. No, and that's it's that outside perspective. I know in the past, the word consultant has gotten a bad rap, but so often that's what you need. You need someone to be able to come in who's not attached to the way things have always happened, but instead can look at it and say, why does it have to happen that way? And how else could we do it to help you have a growing and more profitable business?
Absolutely.
Are there metric numbers that every business owner needs to be tracking? Like, can you toss out like 2 just off the top of your head that said, if you're not looking at this and this every month, you need to be?
So yes, there are. And the ones I tend to harp on a lot are customer acquisition costs. And that's with both your leading metrics, so the metrics you're tracking to see if you're getting where you need to go, and then also your lagging. So on the way up with the leading, what are the actual costs? How much are you spending on Facebook ads? How much are you spending on, marketing support? How much are you spending on all of these things? But then on the backside, what kinds of leads did you get? Did you just get leads, or were they qualified leads? Were they the right people? Were they people ready to buy from you? Are these people you have to nurture, because then you have additional customer acquisition costs on the back end? And then on top of that, mixed in, you need to be looking at tracking the lifetime value, or the expected lifetime value. So with financial planners yesterday, we were talking about looking at a 5 years in the past and 5 years in the future, because there are different ways they sell stuff. And there might be a one-time payment, but then also some additional incremental increases. So it changes. But if you're looking at the value of a client over 10 years, because they keep their clients a long time, then you can actually compare that then to your customer acquisition cost, where when you're only considering the acquisition cost or only considering the lifetime value, you're not getting the full breadth of what you need to look at.
Thank you, Becky. And I want to encourage people that are listening now that are small business owners that aren't near the 500,000 to 5 million marks that Becky normally works with. You can still find these metrics and track these costs in your own small business efforts. It doesn't have to look like $10,000 a month on Facebook ads. It can be $150 a month on Facebook ads.
It's the percentage of what you're spending, right? That's what you're looking at.
Exactly. So don't feel like this doesn't apply to you simply because your business is on a smaller scale than some of these larger corporations that maybe she's worked with in the past.
I'll tell you, ladies, my daughter, my 13-year-old, has an Etsy shop. She hand draws these stickers, these Tennessee stickers. They're great. And a Dolly sticker. We'll have to send you.
You're going to send me the link for this.
That's how she started. And we track these metrics for her. Because and she's a tiny little startup business, but it's important. She doesn't need to be spending all of her income on doing sponsored ads on Etsy. It's not necessary.
I love that.
Yeah, I do too.
Great application for like real life right there.
Yes.
I love that. Seriously, and Dolly stickers to boot. So
I know. I can't even remember if it was on here or not. Yes, it was. It was in the beginning. We talked so much with Becky before we got on the show that now I can't remember what conversation we had pre-live and during live. Anyway, okay, let's move on to challenge 4.
Okay, so challenge number 4. They don't have clear goals other than get more business. Yes. I love this one. This is so
just real.
I just love how you just made it very like truth talk. Hashtag truth talk right here.
It largely goes back to you can't make more money without growing the business, and you can't grow the business without making more money. There's just this general, I want to grow the business. Right? Yeah. And I remember a dentist client of mine years ago, I said, but where do you want to be? And he did not enjoy running his business. Yeah. This is very important to point out. This was not, it just was something he happened to be doing because he was a dentist. I said, where do you want to be in 5 years? He said, I want to have 5 additional practices in the next 5 years. And I was like, why? Why do you want that? Like, you might be absolutely miserable if you were doing that. That doesn't make any sense. But when the clear goals can take a bunch of different forms. It could be, I want to be able to take off 2 weeks at Christmas with my family without having to answer a single email. It could be, I want to be at my kids' soccer games every day. And it could be, I want to make enough money, like the fire people. I want to make enough money that I can retire in 10 years and be done working like for the rest of my life. There are 100 different ways this can look. But they all come back to the finances and the metrics within the business. Yeah. You cannot reach whatever those goals are, whether they're, really firm, measurable goals or not. They can't be done without having clear financial goals in the business. Yeah. So with my clients, I always encourage a best, worst case, and most likely case scenario. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about those and then figure out what has to happen to reach each of those, for each of those to happen. So the examples I've most recently been giving is, let's talk about what if it was March 2020 and you sell hand sanitizer? What does that look like? Right. And then for the best case, and then for the worst case, I'll say, let's say you sold handshakes in March 2020, and let's see where that's getting you. Yeah. And preparing for those extremes, and not exactly preparing, but this is something when my mother had cancer many years ago now, she and I learned that making decisions 2 or 3 down the road made it easier for us and less emotional to implement those decisions when the time actually came. So that's actually where I learned this lesson. Was to know what has to happen for you to do the different things. So if you sell hand sanitizer and a worldwide pandemic hits, if you're able to quickly source the machinery to open manufacturing lines and distribute faster and all of these things, and you already know what it's going to take to do that, then that planning piece is done largely. And if you sell handshakes and you have a guy that walks around selling handshakes, you know that you can't continue to pay him if a worldwide pandemic hits and nobody buys your handshakes anymore. So when you have all that identified and laid out, that's great. And then you work on that most likely case, because in that most likely case, let's say you are wanting to grow your business from 500,000 this year to $1 million, but you also want to be at all your kids' soccer games. Then that helps you lay out the infrastructure necessary. And that infrastructure helps to lay out what your cost of service has got to be. And all of that's going to lay out what your pricing has to be. And your pricing is going to help you lay out the level of service you need to provide, and all of these things. So understanding what your true real goals are, that's the underpinning of the whole. It's the difference between saying, I want us to go to Hilton Head the week of 4th of July, and this is the condo we're going to stay in. And saying, I'd like to go to the beach sometime this summer. They're two different things with two different intentionalities and two different outcomes.
So good.
No, that is, I mean, right. I mean, I had another name for the worst case, like it's your crisis planning, right? But like the planning is so important. And I think a lot of people sometimes get scared, or they think I'll do it when I get there. But it's like, no, you need to be prepared so you can just step into it versus frantically maybe making decisions you wouldn't make because you don't have the time for the growth. And it's such a disservice to you and your business that you're growing really hard to do, right? So
I think what I took most from that also, though, is that when you're evaluating your goals, it should not be based on what other people think your success should look like.
Right.
It's that dentist, right? I want 5 other businesses. Why? You are miserable running one. Why do you want 5 more? No. What, really, what do you want? And so I think that like digging that down a little bit and reminding yourself, especially as a small business owner, right? If you're only doing this for the money, you're probably pretty miserable as it is, and nothing's going to change that, right? If you're doing it because this is what you love, this is your passion, you struck out on your own because you felt that entrepreneurial like fire burning within you. I mean, whatever that thing is that caused you to, the catalyst to make you want to do that.
Right.
If it's gone, you need to reevaluate that right there. I mean, the very basic set of goals that you're working towards that, then apply to all these other 3 challenges you just talked about.
I think, the whole point is to just plan. I mean, say he says to Becky, right? Yeah, I want 5. And she says, hey, you want 5, but you miserable running the business, blah, blah, blah. But then what if they come from the strategy? Okay, well, if I do really want that, I'm going to hire this to do that part of it. I mean, so much from the conversation of just talking about it. Just have the conversation, people.
Right.
Yeah.
And don't be scared. Don't be scared to really evaluate your business in that way. Because I think a lot of times we get overwhelmed by it and we don't. And so then we don't have clear goals.
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes it can be really scary to say, I want to double my business this year. And to say it out loud. And you know what? It's okay. You don't have to double your business this year. If you're more comfortable and more likely to take it seriously by saying, I want to grow by 20%, then say, I want to grow by 20%. But be prepared for what it's going to look like if you double your business.
I think on the flip side of that too is it's okay to say, I don't want to grow my business this year. I want to spend more time at my kids' soccer games, and I want to pick up that painting hobby I've always wanted to do. And I am okay where I'm at now,
Yes.
But still plan for the best worst case scenario where you're either growing or maybe your business starts to fall a little bit.
Anna, a couple of years ago, I met with she's a family friend, and she is a physician's assistant who owns her own practice. And she was saying, I think I want to franchise out. I think I want to build out the processes and do all this. And I was like, okay. She just had her first grandbaby. I said, what I want you to really seriously consider is, do you want to rock babies or be at softball games? And she ultimately came back and said, I want to be at both. Let's not do this. And I was like, okay. That is also an answer. You don't have to do that. It's not just because you could does not mean you have to. I'm always pushing my business owners that I work with to build a business that serves them and their families, not that them and their families are constantly having to serve. It's not working.
That's a good line.
That is a great line.
Really
I say this all the time. I feel like we need to sell t-shirts, Anna, like of all the best lines our guests have said, because that's
build a business that serves you and your family, not that you and your family have to serve. I love that for real. That is a great tagline. Your daughter needs to make a sticker that says that.
I know, please.
I'll have her do.
Yes,
please do.
Yeah. So okay, look, yes, we know that our show is called 15-ish minute coffee chat. No, don't be sorry. Are you kidding me? We're the ones that asked you your questions. We could have said we're only doing one today, but I think there's a lot of great gold nuggets that you're sharing that I think I love when we have guests that just really remind us business owners a very important part of running our business. And that's kind of what it is. And these are definitely challenges that I know we all, all of them, every single one of them I've faced. So, okay. We're going to move on to the toolkit that Becky has provided for today. So I'm going to pop this on and then my name is Selena. Okay. Becky, tell everybody what this is, and Anna's going to drop the link in our thing. So take it away.
Yes. Once my kids are back in school in August and I don't have to lock them in the basement to get the quiet necessary to run a webinar or live, I will be running a first-time webinar on growing your revenue and keeping more of it, which will be much more of the nuts and bolts of the same things we've talked about here today, because those 4 challenges that we've talked about today, this is ubiquitous around all business owners. And this is for anybody that wants to come in and participate, learn a little bit. Whether you're in that $500,000 to $5 million range or not, I'd love to have you. If you go and sign up for the mailing list, you will be the first person to know, and that way you'll have the first opportunity to sign up and get on before it fills.
Yeah, no, I do it. I mean, just from today's conversation, there's so much great information that has been provided. So, again, we'll drop our link. We've added our episode to our blog on our annaandselena.com website. So please go to Becky's episode and grab her link, or just grab the link so you can join her waitlist. So I can't imagine not wanting to. So, okay, Becky, where can everybody find you so they can kind of continue a conversation with you?
Yes, you can visit my very outdated website, which next week I'm on vacation with my in-laws, and I plan to update it during that, because
story of our lives. We're web designers, and ask us how close we are trying to update ours. We get it.
And but really, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm not on any social media personally, but I am on LinkedIn and post there almost every day. Sometimes it's something stupid. Like last week, my mother-in-law responded to my out of office responder saying, we can talk after July 11th. And I thought it was too cute not to share. But
that's perfection. I love it. Oh my gosh.
Sometimes it's just really stupid stuff. But most of the time I try to post things that are nuts and bolts business related. I would love for you to connect with me. I'm a completely open connector. Anyone who wants to, I love to connect with everybody.
Yeah. I mean, anything. And then even just drop more inspiration for Becky's daughter for her Etsy. I mean, like whatever, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Oh my gosh. Okay, go there. I'm already connected with Becky on LinkedIn. I'm excited that she's a new connection, and I look forward to all the posts. I think I'm really drawn to the out of office and your mother-in-law responding type of things. I think those just like really break it up for me during the day. You know, you can't be serious 100% of the time, right, Becky?
No.
Okay. Okay. We're going to move on. Anna is going to chat about our tip jar today.
Yes. So our tip jar today comes from Carolyn Beasley. She's an MBA and a CPA. She was on our show 2 seasons ago, I believe it was. Anyway, Carolyn's fantastic.
Yeah.
But her tip today for small business owners is that it is 100% deduction for business meals from restaurants in 2022. So as COVID restrictions begin to lift, what better way to show your clients appreciation than coffee, lunch, or even dinner?
Mm-hmm.
And as if you needed more incentive, the Consolidation Appropriations Act of 2021, or CAA for short, has enacted a temporary 100% deduction on restaurant meal expenses. So from January 1 of 2021 through January 1 of 2023, your business lunches ordered from restaurants are fully deductible at tax time. Great way to support local restaurant businesses and to treat your clients. So bon appetit. Yay.
Yes. Okay, Becky has a comment about this, and I wanted to not comment, like an extra tip to this. So I'm curious what Becky's going to say.
So there's a big idea out there of living through your business.
Yeah.
So, like leasing your car through your business. There are lots of different ways. I'm not a tax professional, so I do not teach on any of this, but this is one of those big ways to live through your business.
Mm-hmm.
And what it means in this respect is when you're going out to eat, try to find a way for it to be a business conversation, a business meal. Invite a client, invite whoever it needs to be. But then you need to write all the information on the receipt, take a picture of it, and have it filed away for the future. But it's a great way to kind of make tax deductible something you were going to do anyway.
Yeah.
It goes back to that ticker we got going across there right now, right? A business that serves you and your family. And if that means a dinner out with a client, then do it. It's a great way to do it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. No, Becky, this has been fantastic. I'm like, I it's like every time I think, can we get even better stuff on? And I just get so excited. And I think this is so important to like continuously have the connections and invite people on, because there's so much you can still have from a conversation. It's different every single time.
Every time.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it, ladies. I've had so much fun with y'all.
No, totally. This is usually Anna's part, so I'll let Anna do it, and then we'll say our tearful goodbyes to our guests.
Yeah. So, okay. So we just want to close out our show and let everyone know that next week we have a guest, Jayla Ray Ardelian. I think I'm saying that right. I apologize if I slaughtered it, but she is an Enneagram expert, and Enneagrams are fascinating.
Yes.
All about strengths and all that kind of good stuff. So if you are at all interested in Enneagrams, please join us next week, next Tuesday, for our conversation with Jayla Ray.
Yeah.
We want to thank you for joining us today. You can find Anna and Selena at annaandselena.com. or on any of the social media platforms, and especially connect with us on LinkedIn. That's where we love to make connections. So we'd love to get to know you better, get to know your business better, and see if there's any way that we can serve you. And until next week, Becky, thank you again so very much. And we look forward to seeing everybody next Tuesday on the 6 Minute Coffee Chat.
Thanks, Becky. Bye.
Bye.